And we're back. This is the first time that we're back together since November. I missed you guys, like, to be honest.
Missed you. I really did.
I really did. I really missed you, especially Eric.
Chris Chavez here with Eric Jenkins, Aisha Prontlier. We're here for the 2025 Millrose Games at the Armory. First things first, the track is blue. What are your thoughts immediately walking in and seeing that this thing's now totally different color?
I mean, it's gonna take some getting used to for me, I think. I did like the red track. Now that I think in pictures it looks worse. I think it's cool. Now I'm here, I think it's cool.
It's fine, yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It'll work.
It's not right, but it's fine.
Yeah.
You said when you walked in, it was like, there's just like a, all right, let's effing go as soon as you walked in. What brings out that energy?
I will toot my own horn. I'm a returning Millrose Games champion, and
So is he?
so is Eric.
So is he. I was getting ready to toot.
Yeah. Toot and boot it. No, walk in. You walk up these stairs. You know, it's an old building. You kind of smell that competitive spirit. You walk by the hallway that you warm up, and just this underground, no window hallway, which is just going to be the most chaotic place on earth tomorrow. And you feel like this is where it's at. This is where we need to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about like the atmosphere. It's like, I don't know, it's not tension that's like building up over the next like 24 hours, but you could tell from like all the athletes that are warming up like around us, it's like, it's game time, I think. Like last week was kind of like the soft opener to the season, but there's people opening up their seasons here this weekend, and it's a big stage to open up.
No, I mean, you're right. There's tension here.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you get in, I mean, like Aisha said, I was nervous walking in. The smell of an indoor track is something a whole lot different than an outdoor track. Like, there's a whole feel to it, especially all these competitors. Like, they're coming in right now. They're doing their pre-meet. They're, you know, getting to New York, getting into this stadium for the first time, and they're all, like, together. Like Josh Kerr is here warming up. Yared Nuguse are doing strides right next to each other. Like, there's definitely a sense of tension here. This is like the biggest race of the whole indoor season, like before the outdoor season starts. So there's a real energy here.
I know sprinters are more like the type to like play mind games with each other's with like the blowout starts and all that kind of stuff. For distance runners, and what do you guys remember, I guess, about like the pre-meet day and just kind of scouting out your competition?
I came to the pre-meet day with such an attitude. Even if I wasn't feeling the most confident, I was walking in like they opened the doors just for me, because you'll notice the indoor track is tight. Like, it's different than an outdoor track where you have your own space. No one has personal space here. You're looking at your competitors in the eye. You're being extremely nice so they know you're coming for them. It is just a different energy of an indoor track pre-meet.
It is a lot of energy. I kind of want to get in and get out, because it's like you're here, and I do feel like you're kind of get amped up, and it's like I don't want to get too hyped up. Like for most people, it's like you've been thinking about this meet for a long time. You don't need to get more amped up. Like, if anything, you need to calm down, chill out a bit, go through the motions, come out, like get a feel for the track and kind of visualize what tomorrow is going to look like on race day. But for the most part, I was just trying to, do what I needed to do to feel good for the next day, and then just kind of get out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think at this point it's 4 o'clock, right, the day before the meet. It was crazy packed here around like 1 o'clock. Still some athletes coming in to do their last shakeout before the race. So I figured, we could catch up by breaking down the races that we're looking forward to the most, going field by field. There isn't a whole lot. I think it's like 13 total races that'll be jam-packed into the 2-hour window, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time on NBC. So let's get right into it, I guess. Let's start with what race you're looking forward to the most, Eric.
Ooh, I mean, this meet's always like the most stacked meet of the year, but I feel like this year in particular, it's crazy loaded. Every race, top to bottom, is it's just stacked.
You want to pick the mile?
I think no. I mean,
let's save the mile.
I will pick. I think that probably the race that I think is going to be like the most competitive is probably like maybe the women's mile.
Okay.
I think that is going to be a fantastic race, but it's hard. Like, every single race is great, so I just think that the women's mile is probably the most competitive in my opinion.
So to just kind of give a brief rundown of the field. It's headlined by Olympic bronze medalist Georgia Bell from the UK, making her indoor mile debut. Her PR is like 4:33, I think, or something like that, from when she ran briefly, I think, in the NCAA. Then behind that, Susan Ajor, Nikki Hiltz, both Olympic 1500 meter finalists. Elise Cranny coming off a fast one at BU. Heather McLean riding the momentum from last week's win at the New Balance Grand Prix. Sinclair, a previous U.S. champion. So, Aisha, when you look at the names in this field, like, how do you see this race playing out? Because, you know, someone like Georgia Bell, she's known for her kick, but then Elise Cranny will ride the pacer right from the gun and try and make it fast from the front.
What's exciting about this race in particular is you have a variety of different strengths stepping into the same distance. It's early in the year, everyone's coming from a different point of view in their training. I think what's going to be very compelling is like who goes with the pace. It's an indoor track, it's hard to move, it's hard to make those strong moves. But we did see in Boston last week, people just going out and absolutely dying. I think will be interesting to see how people bounce back, especially in Elise Cranny. 2 races last weekend in Boston, coming to 1 race here. I know she's strong, I know she's fit, I want to see her run well, but these races are really, really interesting because you don't usually see these matchups. So when is Elise going to race Sinclair and Georgia Bell and Lyndon Hall in the same mile?
Yeah.
It's exciting.
No, it'll be good. Who do you have your eyes on this one?
I think I really liked how Heather looked last week in Boston. Nikki has looked fantastic so far. I mean, Georgia Bell is a fantastic athlete and plays on.
That was a big ask for her to step up to the 3K last week.
Yeah.
I
It
think,
didn't look very comfy.
Yeah.
And I wonder how, like Aisha was just saying, like, Elise has looked amazing, but last weekend, I mean, that takes something out of you. To race well, it was, you know, and 2 very fast races. They weren't slow races. I wonder how that's going to play out for her, especially because I would think that she's going to want to make this a really hard race throughout to kind of run the kick out of athletes like Nikki and Heather. So I think it's going to be fantastic. And again, Sinclair, like, she didn't win the race last week, but she was right there and looked really good behind Heather. So this is why I kind of think it's really going to be one of the more fun races of the weekend, because it's just, you can see it playing out and you can see a lot of different people winning it.
And all respect to athletes like Ellie St. Pierre and Jess Hull, who have been just like, they were 1-2 last year, and Ellie's won this race, I think, 2 times in the last 3 years. But once the pacer steps off, like, from there, it was typically Ellie just kind of like pressing from the front. This race, I think, tomorrow is just a bit more intriguing because of the variety of different players. So, yeah, do you have a firm prediction as to who you got winning?
Hard to predict. Honestly, I could see a big surprise of Susan
Ajor, yeah.
Yeah, she looked really good last week in New Balance, turning up in flag. She's really strong. She's really fit. And I think there's benefit to being an underdog in a situation like this, not being spoken about a ton in the early, pressers, but I think she looks pretty good.
I mean, again, Aisha was just pulling out names. She's probably right. As we know, she's kind of nails all the predictions.
I actually had the red beret from Paris in my apartment. I forgot to bring it for today.
Tomorrow?
But I'll bring it to all our trips this spring.
Man, that's really tough. I'm going to go with either Heather or Nikki. Flip a coin. Honestly, I don't.
Does it depend how the race plays out? Like, for you to, as you're watching the race, determine of those 2, how the race benefits one or the other.
I think it's really going to be, like, it's hard to get your tactics right indoors. Like, the rate, especially when you're operating at your full capacity, like a mile, like, you can't be making a lot of moves, right? Like, you need to get on the rabbit if it's fast, and I think it will be fast, and be kind of the last one to make a move. You could see athletes like Elise winning this race, but I do think she's going to feel, she's had a much bigger weekend than the other top athletes in this race, and I think that that'll not necessarily come to bite her in the ass, because it's can, for her long-term thing, be great. But for this meet, if she wanted to win this, you probably wouldn't say, dude, in 2 incredibly fast races back-to-back in the same weekend.
And the Wanamaker is a milers race, let's be honest. There's so much hype for this race, and I think people that have gone through really high-stakes mile races are going to thrive more so than a strength 5K, 10K girl stepping down to the mile. So we all know I love a big
We might be eating our words tomorrow.
We could be, but we'll keep saying them.
Yeah, because I personally I think I'm leaning Elise.
Really?
Even after last weekend. I think last weekend was crazy impressive, but then...
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see it.
Yeah. So we'll find out tomorrow. All right, Aisha.
Men's 3K.
Men's 3K, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
come on.
This one, it's a duel. I guess the headlining duel is Olympic gold medalist Cole Hocker versus double Olympic bronze medalist Grant Fisher. But behind them, like, there is like a good crew of names. Jimmy Gressier from France is coming in after running the 5K World Standard last weekend.
Excited to see Cooper.
Cooper Tier apparently has been healthy and right up there with Cole in workouts, and that's a good sign of things.
Yeah.
They had a little sneaky 1K time trial in Virginia a couple weeks ago.
218?
Yeah, 218. So they're clearly fit. The OAC's got Ollie Hoare in this one, and Kai Robinson, Dylan Jacobs. Stewie McSwain will be the guy who's probably like up in the front pressing it. So the fields come together really nicely, but it's a great matchup of strength versus speed when you have Grant and Cole. Grant already opened up with a 1500 PR of 333, so he's kind of showed his cards a little bit to know that he's fit and he's quick right now. But it's hard to judge like who we got in this one.
We have an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
Cole needs to be a household name. Like, I'm so excited for him to step into the limelight. I hope NBC just like blows him up in the promos. I want to see how he's coming out after an obviously incredible summer campaign. It's something to look forward to. I mean, how many Olympic gold medalists are going to be in the room tomorrow? Not many.
Yeah. And I think that the thing about Cole here at this meet is just that, like, when he made his pro debut, it was obviously like the George Beamish out-kicking Cooper and Cole. And then last year, he was kind of not buried, but like overshadowed by the fact that Josh and Grant ran so fast from the front that Cole actually did have a very good race there. And it set the tone for what we saw later on in the year, that Cole, I think, has really, proven himself at 1500, and I think in the last couple months is taking the steps that he needs to really try and make both teams now in the 5K. And so tomorrow will be, I think, a big sign. If he downs this field and beats Grant, then it's a statement win. But I do expect those two guys to be really battling it out. But for Cole, I think that's where he wants to see where he's at next to the Olympic bronze medalist in the 5K, because he wants to be on that same stage.
I mean, well, last year was because we talked, and everybody was talking so much about Josh versus Jakob, that Cole was really looked at as an underdog and kind of was able to slide in and get that title. That there's going to be no more of that. Like, now you're the Olympic champion, and there really does come an incredible, heavy is the crown, right? Like, it's going to be very tough. He's got a lot of pressure on him now.
Yeah, he was saying how, like, that 1K, he's like, I can't do anything in secret anymore. Like, people will find any result.
He's like, there's no more races where he's going to go in as the underdog. No. Like, you're the Olympic champ now, and you're gonna. It's a big responsibility. But again, like, he's the Olympic champ, and I don't think he's the favorite tomorrow. I think Grant is going to make it an incredibly hard race. I expect that, you got guys like Stewie in this who like to push the pace. I don't think he's going to be able to get into the front.
I don't think he can, and he's too tall. He's too tall. Indoor track favors people who are a little bit shorter, and with those long legs he's got, it's going to be tough for him to hit the front.
I think Grant is just gonna hit the front. It's like he knows. He's very good at this. It takes a certain type of athlete to be strong enough mentally to run from the front when the pacer drops off. Grant's proven that he is that type of athlete, which is terrifying when you're lining up against him. But I do think that he's just going to run. I think Cole will need to be in incredible shape to be able to hang with him. I'm excited to see Cooper. I think that Cooper is going to slot right in behind his teammate. He's going to be in a position that's familiar with him. Like, it's going to feel like a workout. He's just going to have to hang on. Do I see him there, like, winning the race? Like, probably not, but I think he could, like, a top 3 finish, you know, and like you never know how you never know how it's going to play out. Like, the top 2 guys could, you know, whoever falls off that hot pace could come back. Cooper could get him, but it's just like all the races, like there's a couple, like in the men's mile, like there's a couple, like the top 2 guys are prepared to duel.
And then it's anyone.
But then it's like there's still, besides those top few guys, it's incredibly deep. So it's like you are probably just going to see really fast times all down the board tomorrow.
The interesting part about where Grant is at this point in the season is that, like, I think he was probably training really hard in Utah, and now it's going to be, I think, about like a 2-3 week stretch, not at altitude.
Oh, he's probably feeling so good.
He's feeling amazing. This race is just, you know, step 2 before next week he attacks the 5K American record at BU. So if he's already thinking that he's in that shape, yeah, he's going to be a problem tomorrow. So, I mean, it's one that last year it was a good battle between Josh and Grant, and I think, like, Grant doesn't want that same outcome to play out tomorrow. So,
and I think
Cole will be closer than he was last year.
I think both of those guys are just much better athletes than they were this time last year. Both, once the Olympics, came back with some serious hardware. So I don't know, like, do you know what the pace is slated for tomorrow?
5 minutes through 2K.
Okay, so yeah, like 7:30 pace, and you can expect that they'll close faster than that. I think it'll be a sub 7:30 race. I think that's what it's going to take to win that race tomorrow. But I mean, Grant's the only sub 7:30 guy in the field, right?
I mean, think so. Yeah, he's under outdoors.
Cole and Cooper are 12:50 guys, right? Yeah. So I mean,
and Jimmy G.
And Jimmy G.
Great Olympics.
And Jimmy G just came off of a 13 flat 5K, and I think that you're gonna feel that. That's a lot different. Like, I think Grant, if you wanted to prep for specifically this race, you'd probably run a fast 15 the weekend before instead of a 13 flat 5K. But, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right, so that one feels like a toss-up that, like, if you ask us who we got tomorrow, I mean, are we just all picking, you're picking Cole?
Yeah.
I think I'll pick Grant. I think would it surprise me if Cole wins?
No,
not a chance. But like I think
I lean Grant right now.
I think it's gonna. I think
that this is Grant's only race if he's not trying to break the American record, and he's gonna just go full into everything. This is the last race of indoors. Grant wins.
I like how big you are right now on, like, they're racing 2 consecutively, but at the same time, like, I think enough people last weekend were talking about how they're training for the Grand Slam setup as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So racing on tired legs. I mean,
Smart.
We'll see how it works. I mean, because there's big money to be won come outdoor season. All right, I'll pick the next race. I'm picking the men's 600.
Thank goodness. I was hoping you were going to say that.
Because this one is just like the world record is 1:13 by Donovan Brazier back in 2020, I think.
On this track?
On this track.
My boy.
And he broke it. I think he held it twice. There was a period where, like, this record was like 1:15, and then it just, like, took a massive, like, jump once Donovan Brazier got his hands on it. But the field is amazing. It's Quincy Wilson coming off of the win, upsetting the pros at New Balance last weekend in the 400. Brandon Miller, who's talked about the world record. Will Sumner, who had a really good race last week. He ran that 400 like it was 800.
Good to see him back.
Yeah.
Like, that adds a whole, like, it's amazing how quickly the sport just kind of moves on from people.
Yes.
Like, it's like Will Sumner, was it 2 years ago? It's like the guy.
Yeah.
And then he got really hurt. We all know what that's like. And so just to be able to come back out and run that's really exciting and bodes well for the sport.
Luciano Fiore from Atlanta Track Club. Isaiah Jewett, who's been training with Marco Arop and been at altitude. I don't think I think coming into this fall, he was like, we've never done an altitude trip. And so reap the benefits of that. Peter Sisk rounds out the field. But I like this field because 600 on this track, like, it's essentially what like watching an outdoor 800 is going to be. Like the theatrics roll out each lap, and I think Brandon Miller is probably the favorite. But you have to wonder if the high school kid can keep it going.
I want to see it. I want to see Quincy win here. I think it would be so fun. Also, what a great way to prep for an outdoor campaign to step up in distance. You don't see that very often. Someone who's an Olympian at 400 meters doesn't always step up to 600, so this is going to be really exciting.
Yeah. I think the key with this one is going to be positioning, because, like, Quincy, the loss that he took in that one indoor race at Virginia Beach was just as a result of like the cut in, and so he's got to be a little bit more aggressive to find that positioning and just hang with the pros. I was a little concerned last week in Boston, but then he just like totally got in the right spot at the bell and charged from the front. That, you know, I think Quincy, that loss did a lot for him in terms of just like maturing and going back to the drawing board and being like, all right, I'm never going to let that happen again. Because I don't think it would have been on too many people's bingo cards to see Quincy Wilson losing to another high schooler. And now he's like, all right, well, now I'm not going to lose to anybody.
No.
Yeah, it's the 600 seems like such a weird event.
Yeah. We need more 600s.
We need more.
I think it's going to be, I think Quincy's certainly got his work cut out for it. Like, I think that the fast 800 guys are going to be the ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see Will Sumner. I think he's, I mean, talk about a speed-based 800 guy. But say like Brandon Miller, like if Brandon Miller's been talking about, if he's been talking about world record.
And I think Josh even said it in passing to someone around us before. He was like, Brandon Miller's going to break the world record.
So if that's the talk, that means he's very fit. You know, usually it's kind of the opposite, where it's like, I'm fit, but I don't want to like kind of really play my cards. I don't want to hype it up too much and not deliver. So if you're talking like I can get that world record,
and it's not an easy one.
Things must be going well.
Brandon Miller did come close last year. I guess he does have the confidence from that. I think he ran 113 high or 114 low at altitude in Albuquerque, but we're at sea level here.
Yeah.
Track got resurfaced here, and like they did away with 5 layers of Mondo, so it actually does feel fast. Speaking of someone who's already run like an 800 and 3K PR.
Do you want less Mondo? They got rid of 5 layers.
I think before it was maybe too much.
Too much Mondo?
Too much Mondo.
Because don't you want to be closer to the boards, because the boards have bounce?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? They stripped away 5 layers?
That's 5 tracks. You could have set up 5 tracks somewhere else.
It'd be insanely fast.
Yeah. So.
Should we test it out after this?
Let's get a hard 2 in us.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so that's the men's 600. Let's pick a women's race to bounce to now. Let's go to, should we do the women's 3K?
Why not?
All right, women's 3K. Jess Hull originally was going to run the Wanamaker. Changed plans, now running the 3K because
she was sick last week.
She was sick last week. I got the sense that she might still have the sniffles from my chat with her at the press conference yesterday, but she was here doing the shakeout.
What's making you say that? Was she actively sniffling?
Sniffling?
Yeah.
And she blew her nose, I think, right before the interview.
Right into your face.
And I was like, I hope you feel better by Saturday.
Don't you dare sneeze in front of Chris, or he's going to come out here and say you're sick.
Melissa Courtney Bryant won last week's race.
Yeah, she
very
looks
impressive.
Great. Yeah, she looks great.
Siga Gebrselassie from Ethiopia, who ran a really good 3K outdoors last year. Ella Donahue coming off of just missing the World Championship standard in the 5K last weekend. And then like Katelyn Tuohy has a very good record here at the Armory. She'll get a great reception from the crowd. Then you've got Josette Andrews and Zomi Tanaka. Sarah Healy is someone I've been told to watch out for because she's been training with Trevor and Jenny out in South Africa with Georgia Bell.
She ran 8:35 last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at New Balance. I'm going through my brain. I think so. Yeah.
Everyone ran 8:30 last week.
Everybody
Something
ran
in that range.
Yeah. People ran great, and she ran a really smart and measured race. And she and Emily Mackay were really battling back.
And Emily was kicking.
Yeah, and Sarah was right with Emily. So I think this is going to be a very compelling race. it's hard to bet against a Jess Hall, even with a couple of sniffles.
No matter how much
it's
she's
hard.
sniffing.
MCB looks great. She had an incredible indoor season last year. You could sort of see her break out, kind of going with Laura Muir in the 3K last year at Boston at New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. Good to see. She has run sub 4 now a few times last summer. She looks great. I think those are the two to watch. But then, we have a lot of people coming through. Nozomi Tanaka was in New Balance last week.
And at BU.
And at BU.
You're talking about someone who's racing too much.
Yeah, but she's getting ready for Grand Slam as well. So
she averages like what? 50, I saw that graphic. 50 races a year, something like that. Something like that.
She's wild. I love it. I love to see it. But I think this is gonna. I think again.
50 races a year.
I may have exaggerated a little bit, but maybe not by that much.
She's living in 2050 because she has these little booties that she puts on over her spikes. She has these like clear plastic booties with like a foam bottom that she wears from like the call room to the track. I've never seen this before. Like only in Japan would they have an invention like this. I looked at that and I said,
oh wait, so she doesn't have dull spikes.
No,
they're
she's
sharp.
it's like a slipper that you put on top of your spikes, so when you're walking to the car room, you don't have to walk like this.
That's
She's just like striding in. It's really cool.
That does sound cool.
Japan. They should give them to all the athletes at Worlds.
You feel like an idiot walking on your heels.
Exactly, but she's figured it out.
I don't do it though. I would just clomp over, and then I have dull spikes. Well, I guess you can race 50 times a year if the spikes are sharp.
You gotta keep them sharp.
Good for her. She never raced for sure, but that's awesome. I think it's good. What were we talking about? I think it's
Jess Hall
to be. I mean, Jess is like one of those
she's
we were just talking about Cole.
Yeah.
We're talking about athletes that took huge jumps. Like the year Jess had last year was just a huge jump up in performances. World record holder now. She is going to be she's looked at as the class of the field is going to be looked at as the one to kind of set the pace. And I think depending on how sick she actually was.
Doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter.
I think
we're gonna build this as Jess's flu race.
I think she'd have to. Yeah, I think
you're great. You're perfect.
I think she'd have to be really sick still. And we saw her jogging around. She's able to move, so I think she'll figure it out.
Okay.
She's consistent. Like she's always putting herself right in the front in good positioning. I think it's kind of her race to lose.
We had to put her up in the category of the Faiths of the world. Like if Faith had the sniffles, we wouldn't be worried about her taking down a field. Jess is there. She's the next best.
For sure, 100%.
And I think like the big thing for Jess is like get the win, run fast, snag the World Championship qualifier, and then she wants to go do World Indoors.
Yeah, really awesome.
She does. She was 4th there last year, and she wants a medal, and then turn around, come back to the Western Hemisphere, and get ready for Jamaica. Jess is another one who's like, I think getting her airline miles in along with Nozomi Tanaka. So, all right, we're on the Jess Hall train. Feel better by tomorrow morning.
She's like, I'm not even sick. Like, what is
like, shut up, dude.
All right, let's go over to the men's 800. I just saw Josh Hoey on the track.
He's looking so good.
I mean, it's been heater after heater after heater for this guy so far this indoor season, which he started, I think, back in December, running a mile at BU, then running the 1K American record at Penn, and then winning last week, beating Grant in the 1500. And he's just like, I want to see all of America's indoor tracks in one season. So I'm coming out to the Armory, got to check this one off. And then I'll go to Staten Island in a couple of weeks, and then maybe China. So, I mean, I think it's crazy to say that I'm inclined to pick him as the favorite for this race over the 4th place finisher at the Olympics in Bryce Hoppel.
Why?
It's just like he's riding the momentum.
He's hot.
And also,
Chris likes the hot hit guy.
and I like.
Where's your loyalty?
Yeah.
It was. Bryce was good. It was a good win by him last.
Bryce was good.
He was good last week.
He had a good career.
I'm just more impressed by Josh Hoey right now.
He's on a heater.
He's certainly on a heater, and momentum is everything in this sport. I just think Bryce Hoppel doesn't lose a whole lot.
No, he doesn't.
Certainly doesn't lose to American 800 guys. I can't see him starting tomorrow. Especially in the indoors where it's like he's so tactically sound all the time. It's going to take a big performance to beat him. But like Josh has been on fire. I'm more curious. Like he's been running so well in the 15, like, you know, he just ran 3:33 last week. It's like, do you come outdoors when it's USA time? Are you going to be looking for that 800 team? Or are you going to be looking for the 15 team?
Man, that's a tricky one because the 15 is already so crowded. Hobbs, Yared, Cole, Ethan Strand.
True, but it's like he made the 800 team last year.
What was he, like 5th or something like that?
It's not like exactly the
That's
800.
not an easy one either.
That 800 team's no cakewalk in itself. So it'll be really exciting to see him. And they kind of go like we were just talking about in this, like the 600, how the speed-based 800 guys, he's the opposite, where he's kind of more of a strength-based 800 guy. It'll be really exciting to watch.
His form
is not great. I mean,
it's given edges in the last 50 paddles.
I mean, it works. He's winning races, running fast, so it doesn't matter. But you look at it and you go, there's some low-hanging fruit.
It's a couple milliseconds here and there.
You can clean that up.
I mean, Nigel Amos ran 141 with that form or whatever.
Quincy Wilson, who we were talking about before.
Yeah.
He's got his little arm
Sometimes, you know, people's mechanics are what they are for a reason.
Oh, yeah, no, it's tough.
Go in there and mess that up. Who are we to say?
Oh, no, trust me. Like, there's plenty of races where I'd watch, like, Bernard Lagat or Paul Chalimo. I go, it looks pretty easy. Just move them like this. Go hip to nip. We all hear about it. And here I am. I'm swinging.
I look terrible,
and
too.
I'm like, God. And the thing is, when you're running, you go, I do look good. I look. And then you watch it back, you go, I wasn't. Well, I guess I can't change it. Well, so yeah, his form could use some work, but he's winning races and he's on fire. I'm really excited to see how he goes up against. Who else is in there besides those two guys?
Jonah Koech, Mark English, Alex Amanqua, Shane Cohen. I don't know if
it's stacked.
Yeah. I don't know if Shane Cohen's tactics from outdoors will work on a track like this, but if the indoor track favors a small guy.
If I were his coach, I'd say we should switch the tactics up today. I do think I'd be like, look, it's fun as hell to watch you outdoors on the last 200. If you want to win tomorrow, you're not going to be able. Maybe don't do that. But he's, you know, because he was a guy that was on fire his last collegiate season. It's so tough to carry. You're not always going to have that momentum. You're going to have periods where you cool off, where you don't win races for a while, especially as you get into the pros, and these races are harder and harder. But it'd be awesome to see him come out and. Because
this is I think his professional debut. So
there's no more exciting thing that it's like Nick Simmons the last 150 of an 800. Just, you know, that was, you know, Robbie Andrews last one. Like now Shane Cohen, like it is really fun.
You like having those guys in those races, yeah.
Oh my God, there's no better entertainment.
The Waddleheads.
Oh, the Waddleheads would go crazy.
Waddleheads.
All right, let's flip the tables over to the women's 800. This one's got Shafiqua Maloney, who was 4th at the Olympics. I don't think it's enough shine. Just like how good of a season Shafiqua had last year, run 157 and then take 4th when no one had, you know, one of the two athletes from St. Vincent and the Grenadines making it that far. And so I think she's run a ton at Arkansas. She's never been on a stage like this, I think. And so after you finish 4th at the Olympics, I think you got to get used to like being the headliner at a race like this. So she's got Natoya Gould-Toppin, Nia Akins, Sage Hurta-Klecker, Addie Wiley, Olivia Baker, Sammy Watson, McKenna Keegan, Kayla Edwards in the field. Nia Akins making her debut for Hoka. And then, I mean, Natoya also always runs well here at the Armory.
She does. And Natoya doesn't necessarily line up to race unless she's ready, so we'll get to see that. Kayla Edwards ran a quiet 600 at CU. I think she ran 126.
Okay.
Looking really good. This is going to be an interesting race. I really think Well, also Shafika is on a tear. Like as Eric said, momentum
doing longer
matters.
distances too.
Doing longer distances at Arkansas. She's getting those race reps in. She's getting the nerves out, stepping on the line week in and week out. I think it's going to be a really compelling race.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of like, it's not as clear. Like these other races we mentioned, it's like if you were a betting man, you could put money on a few people and be pretty happy with that. I think this race is more open-ended. I mean,
in previous years, it was just like, oh, Ajay Wilson's in this race. She just does not lose at the Armory.
Yeah, this is like she had, I mean, historic runs here. Like, I mean, what, like, how many years in a row? It's got to be, there's no one touching
I think
that
undefeated, since 2013.
I was going to say, like, literally, I was going to say, like, 15
That's
years straight.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Why isn't there an Ajay shrine here? Like, we should build one.
Yeah, there should be like...
Okay. Sure, more work for me to do. I got to learn how to build shrines. I got to go.
All right, so who are you looking at?
I mean, Ghoul always runs so well. Is always up there for the win. I kind of like, and I'm going Jamaica, baby. Like, why not? Yeah, we're gonna be there soon.
Caribbean up at the front.
Yeah.
Could be a Caribbean
guys,
one too.
I'm so excited to go to Jamaica.
Get the sunscreen ready.
Yeah, I'm fired up. So yeah, I'm gonna go Ghoul.
Yeah, goal for the win.
You just want the locals to see this clip and then
you kidding?
Like, that's the guy who picked Natoya.
Yeah.
You guys I'm just lost in Kingston.
We're not gonna lose you, bud.
I hope we don't lose.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
All right, let's run through really quick as to what the big stories are in these sprint fields, and then we'll get to the men's Wanamaker mile. In the women's 400, Alexis Holmes is opening up her indoor season, or she may have run a low-key race before this, but biggest race of the season so far, against Megan Hunter, who ran a really good 800 last weekend at BU. Watch for those two. Millrose women's 60-meter field. Jason Sears from Tennessee, who was a star at Tennessee, is now in her first full season as a professional. Got the win at New Balance Nationals last week. She'll be up against Aaliyah Hobbs, who's won U.S. titles at this distance and made world teams. So I think that's the matchup I'm watching in that one. Zoe Hobbs, another person who travels a ton from New Zealand.
And she's good at the 60.
She's good at the 60. Men's 60-meter field. I mean, am I just here reporting people with the sniffles? Because I heard Marcel Jacobs may have the sniffles, but
sniffles meter.
I was excited to see.
But if
Marcel.
he's in the race, then like
I want to see that matchup between Trayvon and Marcel.
Marcel and Trey.
They got overshadowed last week
by Noah
at New Balance, but this field is maybe a little softer. I'd really love to see that head-to-head matchup.
Yeah, I would. I'm a big Trayvon fan. I'd love to see him go out there to kill it.
Yeah.
It is disappointing. Like, you know, Olympic talk about some. We were saying like, it's tough when you win the Olympic gold medal, being able to live up to the hype afterwards, because it's just so much of a responsibility to. You're now looked at. You're the favorite.
Yeah, if you think about Marcel's 2022, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like, he was constantly hurt, pulling out of races, and I mean, that's what you kind of like. I think Noah's playing it smart, where he ran the one race at New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, and then is now shutting it down to prepare for the outdoor season. Like,
especially in those marquee events, think of all the press they go through in the off season. It's got to be really difficult to maintain your training, your health, your mental sanity, everything. It's so much pressure. It's a really heavy crown, and I think it's smart to play it safe.
Yeah.
It's so tough. Like, you're at the very pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah.
You either, and it's so incredibly hard to get there. So you either repeat that, or you're a loser, and it's almost impossible to
satisfy
repeat
everyone.
that. Yeah. And so
unless you're Usain Bolt. Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, it's incredible. Like, the guys who are able to, win multiple world championships, Olympic titles, like, it's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
It's hard to really put into perspective how much it takes for things to go right. And staying healthy is so hard in a sport like this. And you feel for guys like Marcel. I mean, Trayvon Brumell was a guy that had a really, really tough time. When you're young and you run so fast, you have the whole world ahead of you, and you think, I'm going to get all these goals that I want and that everyone's putting on on me. I'm gonna be fine. And then you get hurt for a year, and then you realize, like, man, like it's gonna be hard to even get back to where I was, let alone the goals that I had wanted before that. So it's just like, when you're the Olympic champ, it takes so much, and it's not just like, it's not like how everyone talks about it.
So I think the biggest thing I'm looking for in this race is Trayvon coming out healthy with a good one under his belt, because then from there, his path to the World Indoor Championships is, I would say, fairly clear. Ronnie Baker ran a really good race overseas, but it depends on Marcel and his health status. No Christian Coleman, it seems like, so far this indoor season. No Noah Lyles. For Trey, this could be a big confidence booster. The path to winning USA Indoors, getting to Worlds, snagging a medal after missing most of last season, like, all things to build upon to then, like, you've got tons of time to get fit and ready for July or August for your national championships and then Worlds. So where we thought the U.S. was already, like, really deep in the 100, like, the reemergence of Trayvon Bromell, I think, begins here.
And he's won a world, like, he won
2016 World Indoors.
Like, I remember being there for his win in Portland. Like, also talk about a guy who's just got, like, picture perfect running form. That guy, when he's full flight, like, it's all clicking. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's what I look like with 100 meters to go.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, he's really fun to watch, and hopefully tomorrow is just the first step on a path to a good year.
All right, and the last two sprint fields are the 60-meter hurdle field. We got the Olympic champion Masai Russell. I mean, for a 7-second race, this field is stacked. Devin Charlton, Akira Nugent, Grace Stark, Taylor Cox, the high schooler from Union Catholic, Christina Clemens, Denisha Cartwright. Blink and you'll miss it. And it's just medals and world record holders. That the world record was set here by Devin Charlton last year before she lowered it again at World Indoors. That wouldn't shock me if the world record goes down tomorrow in this one. And then on the men's side, 60-meter hurdle field. This one, I think Freddie Crittenden, the Olympic medalist,
I've been watching him
headlines
practice.
it.
He's having a good time. He's looking
like
good.
10 feet away from us.
Yeah.
Just laying down, hanging out.
Good vibes.
Yeah. So I think, like, Freddie's in a good spot. He had a really good showing last year. It's just like, again, when you have a Noah, a Grant in the race, you can have a really great performance second place, but obviously all eyes are going to be on the winner. But of course, I think Freddie can be the winner tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. We finally got to the Wanamaker mile on the men's side. There's world record talk buzzing about it. I feel like every year there is, but especially after the last 2 years with Yared Nuguse coming very, very close to Yomif Kejelcha's 347 high, I think is what it is.
I think it was on the board for a while. I think it is 347 point something.
So Yared trying to go for his third Wanamaker title. Only, I think, 10 other guys in history have done it. This meet's been around for 117 years. Josh Kerr seeking his first Wanamaker title, won the 2-mile here last year. It's the clash between those two, but Hobbs is in it.
It's deep. Behind them, it's deep.
Farkin had a good 349 or 350 last weekend at BU. Cam Myers won the race here a couple weeks ago. Vinciati, people forget he ran 331 at the U.S. trials. So with this one, we can unpack it as, like, is it as easy as just thinking, all right, there's a pacemaker, they're going to string out, and then it's Yared and Josh battling it. I guess I wish I had the red beret on me, because I'd love to hear how you see this race going.
Okay, first I'm going to throw out a hot take.
Okay.
The hot take is I side with everyone that's talking about how much we don't care about a world record attempt. Here's my hot take. There should only be one world record attempt per year. Per year. I hate that every race gets speculated on. Let these people race.
This is the first of 2 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because Jakob will go after next week. Yeah.
It's exhausting. I just want to see great head-to-head racing.
So everyone, so Is every person's allowed to go after it once, or
No,
is it there? Okay.
there's one.
There's only one.
There's only one. It can rotate at the meets, but maybe there's one indoor meet, one outdoor meet. And we say, this is a world record attempt. We're getting the best pacers. We're lining up. We're getting the single file, no aji-baji. Just let it be a time trial. Let it go fast. Every other race, I want to see a dogfight. Pacers, yeah, great. But I want to see moves being made. I want to see jockeying for position, and I want to see great head-to-head racing. I want to see big kicks. I don't want to see saving yourself to run a fast time. I just want to see great head-to-head racing. That's my hot take of the day.
Yeah, there's too much just too much talk about times and world records. Like the worst thing is when there's so much of an emphasis on it when you're watching the broadcast, and then they cross the line and they run. It's an unbelievable race, and it's mostly like there's almost like a letdown of they didn't run a fast time. Like, oh, we just missed it.
Close.
And so it's like that is that's a problem, because then the viewers are watching it like, oh, he almost had it. Like, you almost had a really good race. And you're like, that was the best race I've ever run by far. I didn't become the fastest that's ever walked the earth in history, but it was still a fantastic race. So yeah, I do think there is too much of an emphasis on world record talk, but like that being said, with how good these fields are, with how fast people are running now, do you think that do I think that there's a really good shot that the world record goes down tomorrow? Yeah, all these guys, you're going to need to be in right around world record shape if you want to beat Josh Kerr. If you want to beat Yared Nuguse, you're going to need to be able to run sub 350 and very well under sub 350. So yeah, I expect they'll be right around that world record tomorrow. I think that we have hyped up, it's Josh Kerr and Yared Nuguse, but there's so many guys in there that, depending on how the race plays out, can slip in there and be contenders when you haven't talked about him. Hobbs Kessler, always a gamer. It's going to be, there's so many guys.
I do think the odds favor Josh versus Yared versus the field.
Absolutely.
So if you were a betting man, would you take one of the two or the field?
Oh, I'm taking one of the two. I'm taking Josh. I think Josh Kerr is just tough to beat, especially the way that he runs on an indoor track.
Yes.
It's very assertive, very aggressive, dominant. And Josh is not a small little miler. He's a big boy, and he's going to be very tough to get around, and he's not going to let you get around.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're going to try and get by him, it's going to take a big move. He's fights for that position. Think about him, Bowerman Mile. Was it last year?
He was doing more.
He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot of movement, fighting guys. Once he's in the front, he's not going to let you get around him. I think it's just going to be very tough to beat him, and he's always running. I remember last year, that eight flat 2 mile. You're just like, that's just show that he was a different athlete. And I think he's for sure the guy to beat.
So if you're Yared, how do you counter that? Do you because is it a fight to get behind the pacer?
No. I think they're gonna slow. I think there's probably not gonna be a big fight. I probably wouldn't want to be behind. Yared has a very long raking stride.
Yeah.
It seems like if you're Josh, maybe I just want to be first on the rabbit, kind of be out of the danger area. I don't want to get tripped up. He's gone. Last year he went down in the British 800 championship. It's I'm going to try and avoid all that type of thing at all costs. Get on the rabbit, especially if you are Josh, and it's I do, because this is also how Yared runs his best race too, is he's at the front. So I would expect Josh to be at the front. And how do you beat that? You need to, when you make your, you're only going to get one move. And you need to be whenever it is, whether it's I'm going to go at 300 to go, I'm going to try and go. I think Yared probably needs to move farther out than, let's say, 150 to go. I think he's a guy that does well with a very, very long, gradual, hard build-up.
They both want it to be not slow, but through the 800, not as quick as you would do.
I think they both want it to be a sub 350, right? The faster the race is,
the less guy.
It's you don't want Hobbs Kessler around on a 353 race. You don't want any of these guys in striking distance. But both Yared's just not a guy who's like a fire out of the cannon last lap type of kick. I think it's probably like be at the front with 350, 400 to go and try it and just stretch it out. But again, it's going to be tough, and who knows what their plan is. It could be like, look, Dathan could be saying to him like, your best bet is when the rabbit drops off, like let's hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's work. He's going to be really tough to beat if you get behind him and kind of let him dictate the race. So once the rabbit drops off, like make it your race and make it so he's the one who has to come to you.
All right, so at the moment, you guys are leaning Josh.
I think, I'm leaning Josh.
I'm leaning Josh mostly because I haven't been at the track in Boulder. I haven't really been able to see how Yared's looking.
Yeah.
But I think of all of the races that we're talking about, these two are the most evenly matched in skill, in fitness, in ability.
They were less than a second apart at the Olympics.
Yeah. It will be interesting. I'm not sure which is going to win, but it's going to be one of those two guys.
I'm encouraged by the fact that if Yared's been working out, again, the eyes, you haven't had eyes on them in Boulder, but if he's been working out with Farkin, and Farkin had that good race last week, and if Yared is a degree or two better than him, then I think Yared is right there at world record shape. And it's just interesting because like we have nothing to go off of because this is their opener.
Yeah, and it's a really tough rust buster.
Yeah.
But Yared said it's gotten easier. Like he said, nothing will compare to being nervous at the Olympics. But now it's like this is year 3 of opening up at the Millrose Games. It's routine now.
True. I guess if that is your opening race and you've done it before, he's clearly had some success here. Won it twice. You could see like a lot of guys running really fast. I like how Hobbs looked last. He ran 7:35 last week and was pretty upset about it. Not upset, but he was just like, it's not impressive.
Yeah, he said 7:30 is not fast for the 3K.
I like that. I just like his attitude. I like the attitude. He's really he just shoots for the moon. Is going to put himself up there, and I think it's because there's going to be guys to aim and key off and shoot for. Like it's not going to be this bunched up race. I think there's going to be area to move if you're feeling good the last couple laps. But again, it's incredibly deep. Like I could see, multiple guys at 350.
All right, we will watch it all unfold tomorrow at 4 p.m. is when the marquee action takes place on NBC. But final thing, the music's bumping here. It's like we were talking about before about who controls the aux cord at this thing. It's like the athletes should be allowed to pick their music.
Here's what should happen. You should submit your request. There should be a live DJ paying attention. Somebody's feeding him information and says, here's the bell. Eric hits the bell. In first, Eric's song drops.
Huge.
Am I wrong?
I mean, I like how that sounds.
He's gonna hit the wrong button and it's like, that's not my song.
Oh my God, this is my act. This is the Ricky Roxford song. I didn't want this. Now I'm embarrassed out here.
Wondering when we were gonna bring that.
Now I'm embarrassed. It is a lot of pressure. Whoever's making this playlist. I do think there should be some sort of. You should be able to get some control. If I'm
for the athletes.
Like there should be. Like they should be talking to the top, like for let's say Josh and Yared and all the top 5 milers, and they say put in your applications for songs.
Yes.
And then they put in the songs they want, and then that goes before a committee.
Babe. Yeah, but Good Luck Babe comes on because Yared hits the bell, and you know what it does to Josh? That's not his song. Power down. Yared just storms.
Steps off the track.
Yeah, like he's feeling great,
song.
and Josh hates the song, and it could really play into the tactics.
Yeah, that would. I think there should be some sort of control that the athletes should get. I wonder if they're just putting on a Pandora station or Spotify and just letting it rock.
That's true. I would really like access to that station because it's good.
We will be disappointed if Freed From Desire does not play at all during the Millrose Games.
That is your song.
It is our song.
Oh, yeah.
It is the song. It's the only song.
Yeah, especially.
It's our song.
Yeah, I think especially in a race where you have 2024 Olympians, this will channel those vibes. But all right, that does it. We're back. The crew is back together. We're going to be traveling a lot this spring. Stay tuned for more from Chris Chavez, Eric Jenkins, Aisha Protlier. We'll catch you tomorrow. We'll do a little crack recap of the meet.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Why not?
All
I'm
right.
excited. Let's go.
Enjoy the meet.